Today we're looking at a short EP by the unknown band Ghost Train Suplex, and it's called Sepsis. With it being EP length, I decided to break protocol and listen to this thing twice, which took me a grand total of 34 minutes and 10 seconds. First things first, I'm a sucker for hardcore, well, basically anything, be it punk or metal or otherwise, so I do have some bias going into this. But on the other side of the coin, I'm definitely not a fan of extremely manufactured metal, meaning stuff that's completely performed on the grid and seems way too clean for what it is. But luckily, though the sound on this release is crisp, it doesn't feel like a slick, over-polished production. I think the band is very tight. I think the instrumentalists are flawless, with the drumming being creative, and the vocals mesh well with the overall sound. They don't stick out like a sore thumb, unlike a certain other release from 2024 that's also metalcore. With the band being German, of course, all the songs are written and performed in German and all the titles are German too, unsurprisingly. I'm a non-German speaker, but this actually had no effect on my enjoying of the album. I mean, mathcore vocals in English aren't exactly crystal clear, and in fact I've heard at least once that Jane Doe doesn't have any lyrics at all, and it's just him screaming into the microphone what he felt like at the time. Whether that's true, I don't know, but I would believe it. The EP's songs flow with no silent gaps, which adds to the constant barrage of aggression. And in fact, the album loops perfectly, beginning and ending, with feedback, which is something I realized when I listened to this twice on the bounce. And the record has a sheer, no holds barred, confrontational sound almost, which is reminiscent of many pioneers of the mathcore metalcore genre. For example, the opener reminds me of Dillinger Escape Plan, with a chaotic intro and sort of almost pseudo jazz interlude. J als K reminds me of the speed of Atka. The lightning punk beats in 2 Grad remind me of Converge, and the dissonant stabs of Souvenir sound just like Botch. So it's fair to say that Ghost Train Suplex have a lot of influences, and even if they aren't directly influenced by the bands I mentioned, they're probably influenced by bands who are influenced by the bands I mentioned. And though they're clearly wearing any influence they may have on their sleeves, Sepsis doesn't come across as a carbon copy of any singular band. This is evident in a few highlighted moments, such as the abrupt outro of Manasach, which has a fake breakdown, and they even dabble with some unusual textures, with a brief piano solo in the closing song Vantra, which doesn't actually feel like a forced effort to genre switch. So overall, while Sepsis might not be the most unique thing in the world, it's a very fun time. Alright, so an album from the year this was released that I like. This is 2022, a couple of years ago. I've actually listened to quite a few albums from this year, and I'm going to go with another one I've heard twice. It's The Loser by Gospel. Now this one is not that much like The Moon is a Dead World, and a lot of people say it's inferior. Maybe it is. I've actually heard both of their albums only twice. But The Loser is pretty unique actually. There's a lot of jazz influence, if you want to call it that, or at least in the instrumentation, but retains that post-hardcore atmosphere. I definitely would give it a go or two. And the question is Sepsis's second chance its final chance? I don't think so. No, definitely not, in fact. I'm going to go ahead and say that this really surprised me, this EP. Being from 2022 and in mathcore, I sort of thought, yeah, it's going to be one of those clean albums that's boring to listen to, but no, it actually retains a lot of that raw metalcore energy or mathcore energy from late 90s, early 2000s that I think is really swell. So good job. Ghost Train Suplex. I really did like this album. That's going to do it for this one, so credits roll.